Hey, we got a good show lined up for you today.
20 years into the internet for the auto industry.
To me, that's the biggest change of what's going on.
I have a song for you guys.
Baby's Got Back.
or Hoes in every area code.
There you go.
Going old school, huh?
Tom, you should take off your beret for this.
All right, that's about as much as anybody's ever going to see me dance on.
It's Friday.
I can't
It is Friday.
Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Guys, thanks for joining us. Inaugural edition. And as you can see, I got Jeff Clark on here with us. Great to see you here, Jeff. We're going to talk today about Tesla and Elon Musk and getting his roadster on up into outer space, I think en route to Mars. He's got a space company and a car company, or a tech company, and he sends his car up on a rocket with a nod to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Tom, that seems like a book you would read.
I gave it to my son to read, but thank you. That's a lot of big words for me.
Jeff, have you read that?
I have not.
No?
I've been knee deep lately in Selling Deals Faster by John Asher. So, but I will put that on my read list.
Jeff and I are going to write the Hitchhiker's Guide to Making a Living in Sales.
Volumes 1 through 5.
Right. Living on ramen noodles in volume 1 through 3.
That's right.
Well, hey, I think it's great. I don't know if anyone watched the recording of it. Apparently, one of the rockets plunged in the wrong place, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal.
That thing was supposed to blow up. Literally, Elon Musk even said 6 months ago in his interview, with 27 different rocket engines, motors, with propellant flowing through them, generating thousands of pounds of thrust, it was expected to explode. And I really wanted to go over there hoping to see it explode, since nobody was going to be on it. But also impressed that they got that thing up there. And it's going to be interesting to see where his end game is, given that between SpaceX and Tesla, they're losing millions and billions of dollars a year. But somebody pointed out to me, he's a billionaire. He could have this 5 or 10 year plan that we wouldn't understand.
You probably heard about his flamethrower product. He pre-sold 500 flamethrowers through his company, the Bowie company, to raise $10 million, large in part to push towards the Hyperloop. So he knows how to raise money and get funds, but like any business, you go years before being profitable.
Well, Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, that was his strength, was pulling people together with big piles of money to invest in his visions. So
Jeff, I know we're throwing this on you. What do you think of the whole stock market situation? Have you looked into that?
Well, I look at it every morning, man. It was funny. About a week ago, I was about $100 grand richer. It's one of those things that when you get in the market, you got to be able to take the ride. And I think just watching how explosive the market has been in the last several months, I think we were all kind of grinning ear to ear. If you listen to the economists, if you listen to the brokers, they will tell you that every market will self-correct. For instance, between yesterday and today, I saw about a $20,000 delta in just a 401k. So look, fortunately or unfortunately, I've got another 15 to 20 years before I get to that retirement window, or at least when it makes sense for me to retire. So you just got to stay in there. You can't get panicked. There's truth when they say don't panic. If you're far enough along in age where you're getting closer to retirement, get out of the high risk stuff, be smart, start to hedge your bet. I do think things are going to taper off a little bit, but they'll reset. I mean, the fact that the market got, plus 25,000 was unheard of, right? And we've had record setting months, month in, month out. So this past week, while a little disturbing, and I think I've gone through a little bit deeper of my wine collection than I had previously, it'll pan itself out. So,
it's not classified as a crash, and it didn't raise off any alarms. I think the big story is the fact that this was more robots, if you will, all the algorithms making adjustments, not for any orchestrated purposes, but they just all happened to be making adjustments that had this adverse effect. And it speaks a lot to where technology is, in modern day times, that, this isn't traders on the floor. Like you said, there's no need to panic. And there really was no panic. This was almost a robotic adjustment, like you said.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple things. The economy's due to have a downturn, where this is the longest period in United States economic history with no recession. So we're way overdue for recession in the history of our economy. The other thing with the stock market, though, to me is almost like a poker tournament in Vegas, because the market's gone up by the last year, 20%, 15%. Revenues have not gone up by 10 to 15% in most companies. Profits have certainly not gone up 10 to 15% in most companies. And this happened on the heels of this great corporate tax cut, which a lot of companies fed back to their staff, which has been awesome. But it's a speculation game. It's almost like futures at this point, because everybody's trying to second guess where stuff's going. It's not based on what you did last quarter. It's like every minute of every hour, everybody and every computer are watching the news for which stock's going to breathe in which direction. Do you disagree, Jeff?
I don't. And if you watch closely, I mean, if you see the amazing growth that Amazon's had, if you see, some of these stocks that have just kind of skyrocketed again, I think back to when the .com bubble burst. I was right in the middle of that whole thing. There was a time when you could take a business plan and put it on the back of a bar napkin and put a .com behind it, and you could go raise $4 or $5 million bucks. Those days are long gone, man. The housing market, imploded and over adjusted. So it really doesn't matter what the particular segment of the market is, whether it's tech stocks, whether it's housing. People are always looking for the quick buck. The problem is the general public as a whole wants to cry when things start to go south, and they're looking for that next shoe to drop. I mean, look, the economy has been doing phenomenally. If you look at what the car industry's been doing, if you look at people buying homes, I mean, my wife's a realtor. In the particular county we live in, there's a massive housing shortage. And it's not because there's this, incredible influx of people coming in. It's because people have disposable income and they're ready to get out of their rentals and they're ready to get into buying homes. Mortgage rates are still low. Interest rates are still reasonably low. I'm watching interest rates move up. There was a time when you go out and get a car loan all day long at 199 if you had, tier 1 credit. Now you're starting to creep up half a point, 3/4 of a point. So it all self-adjusts. And I think what people have to do is allocate their resources appropriately and don't overextend, because the market can adjust itself at any given time.
When we talk about stock market crash, I think, Brian, you and I talked about in the context of how it would impact the car industry. And I'm going to be interested in watching and listening to dealers. And remembering my time on the retail floor in luxury cars, I'd have people say, I'm going to wait and see what's going on with the market before I make my decision. January, February is kind of slow time of the year in many markets and for many stores anyway. So it'll be interesting, and we'll watch how dealers respond. Because I talked to a dealer the other day. Oh, we're doing better than ever. I don't need to add or improve anything. Oh, well, I'm sure it's going to stay that way. So we'll see.
Famous last words. I don't need to fix anything. I'm perfect.
Every boat on the ocean went up when the tide came up. Congratulations, you got your boat hired.
That's good, Tom. I like that. Well, guys, just want to, as we roll into Jeff's segment, I did want to acknowledge out there, a matter pretty dear to me. February 2nd was the date announced back in November that Authenticom would be laying off 55 of its employees, a significant portion of its workforce. So that did happen last week. It did go through, and some new developments coming out of that. The whole CDK Reynolds situation is that I learned recently is the FTC is actually considering bringing legal proceedings against both CDK and Reynolds for anti-competitive conduct. So apparently the FTC's issued what's called a civil investigative demand, a CID, late last year, and it seems to be progressing. So the FTC is actually adding new investigators into the case. So, Authenticom, Authenticom really got the ball rolling, and it seems to be picking up steam. And I just wanted to acknowledge, for Steve Cottrell and his team over at Authenticom, I think he made the best of a bad situation that he could, and hopefully we'll get, hopefully justice will be served over the long run in this. So Jeff, I'm going to bring up your press release, big news, moving on over to ActivEngage. So appreciate you coming on, but love to just kind of hear your take. What's the big move all about? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who reached out through Facebook, the text messages, the phone calls, the personal messages, certainly the countless LinkedIn messages. First, let me start by saying that it was not an easy decision for me. Having spent almost a decade of my career in a leadership role with Dealer On, and having been a big part of building that business, I think anytime you spend that amount of time with a company or with a group of folks, you can't just leave and not feel like you're leaving a part or a piece of yourself behind. So, Ali and Amir Shamiri, the team there, were really wonderful, and certainly it's been a great ride. The 10 years that I spent there, I can't say enough great things about the accomplishments and the growth, and certainly the relationships built. But I think in every executive's life, you come to a point where you begin to wonder if you're making as much of an impact as you want to make. And I'm one of those folks, for most of you that know me, know that I don't sit on my laurels and I don't rest kind of in a fat cat position. I'm always about sort of pushing the envelope and figuring out what's next. And, a good 14 plus years of my career was spent on the website side. And while that, again, was really great for me, I wanted a different challenge. I needed sort of a different environment. And I was very, very fortunate to kind of, tap into the long-term relationship that I had with Todd Smith and Ted Rubin and Eric Schlesinger and the team at ActivEngage. And frankly, I'll be the first one to tell you that in my career, especially being on the website side, I always sort of looked at chat as, it's chat. It's a tool, a good tool, but it's a tool. I didn't think of it as deep as what I now know it to be. And when I looked at the marketplace and when I looked at the competitors, and there's a lot of great players in the space, I really loved their approach to business. I really loved the fact that it's really not chat. It's the science of communication. And while that sounds kind of cheeky, it really is about helping consumers bridge that gap. It's interesting. We as car professionals, I'll just pick up the phone. I'll say, hey, Tom, I'm looking for, an S65 AMG, low mile CPO'd. What do you got? And the whole deal, if he's got the right car and I'm good with it, it's done in 5 minutes. But the customer who doesn't understand how the auto industry works is reluctant. They want to use a tool to be able to build trust. And I think when you have a solution that can help you on the variable side, it can help you in terms of, taking a soft credit pull and really understanding if the customer is targeting on the right vehicle, or helping them understand the difference of the vehicles. And more importantly, helping on the service side, what a great tool. Dealerships get busy. People, I can't tell you the number of times I go into a dealership and you've got one individual doing the job of 3 because someone's out sick or someone's on vacation or someone took a different job.
It's really the only communication tool, human-to-human communication tool within the realm of the internet. And of course, again, congratulations publicly, Jeff. I spent 5 years with CarChat24, and I put those two companies as the top 2 in the industry, from quality of staff, quality of engineering, commitment to taking care of customers. And always had great respect for ActivEngage. So, if CarChat wasn't here, I'd be sending my people there. So I think you did join a great company. I have a lot of respect for Todd. I've spent some time with him. But it's the only way a shopper can communicate directly with a dealership representative. And with quality operators, it's dealers who worry about someone outside their store talking to their customers. I was at a 14-store group, and our BDC was 20 miles away. So they weren't standing next to the car,
Right.
but they could act as a proxy and answer the questions with as much accuracy as possible, and then move the needle and hand it off to the dealership. We had an executive that used to joke, the only thing worse than a dealership trying to handle their own chat and not answering when somebody requests a chat is when they did answer, because we'd see 20-minute chats where the dealer, operator forgot to ask for contact information. They ran all over getting tread depth and everything.
Bad chat's worse than no chat at all. And
you'll blow people away.
It's one of those tools that, again, I was engaged in a conversation with a dealer the other day, and he said to me, "I don't believe in chat." I said, "That's interesting." I said, "Do you use call tracking services? Do you monitor your people's sales calls?" "Well, yeah, I do." I said, "Well, why do you do that?" And, he hemmed and hawed. It's about a better process. I said, "At the end of the day, you don't trust your salespeople. You don't think they're going to say the right things." "Well, no, that's not entirely true." I said, "Come on, man. Shoot me straight. You're telling me you don't believe in chat, and I'm telling you you're using these call tracking services because you don't trust what your people are going to say. How's it any different in a chat? If you don't believe that they're going to communicate properly on the phone, what makes you think engaged in a chat they're going to act any differently?" So there are dealerships that do a phenomenal job, but you can't be there 24/7. You can't be there on holidays and certain weekends. So joining the team, again, super blessed. I've had a great career in this space, and it seems like each step keeps getting, better. And joining ActivEngage was one of those things. It's done a lot for me personally, professionally. I get more time with my family. I'm not, traveling to an office each and every day where I'm spending 3 hours. So it's more time with my boys. It's more time for me to focus on me and how to continue to be better and grow. I've got a talented staff of sales folks, certainly a very talented crew of folks that I'm surrounded by. And what's really cool, and a lot of people don't know this, ActivEngage doesn't just do automotive chat. We're actually the backbone to the Orlando Magic. We've got, kind of emerging relationships going with the NBA right now to bring the very quality of service and communication that we bring to auto dealers to various NBA teams in different markets. So I think the more that dealers or dealership personnel can listen to this and really think about and ask themselves the question, what is our strategy? What's our science of communication? How successful are we in not only converting a chat to a meaningful lead, but how frequently can we actually set an appointment? How good at we are creating upsells through the service lanes? And there are more and very, very cool, exciting things, as you know, Tom, and certainly you, Ryan, that are going to come about that continue just to be a part of that platform. So, again, I thank the industry for the recognition. I certainly appreciate the well wishes I've gotten from the automotive community, and I'm super stoked to be here, and I can't wait to dig in deep. I'm only 5 weeks on the job, and we're already making major headway, but there's still a lot to do.
Well, congratulations, buddy. I'm excited to see where that journey takes you, and yeah, my personal experience that if somebody's willing to have a conversation through chat, then you should be there to have that conversation.
Yes, you should.
At the end of the day, if that's the way the shopper wants to communicate, because a phone call is not anonymous. You and I grew up in a star 67 era when you could block your number. How many people today even know you can hit star 67 on a cell phone and be an anonymous caller?
We were actually talking the other day about call waiting. Remember how exciting it was when you heard the beep on the other line and you couldn't get to the phone fast enough to figure out who was calling you? It's
right.
Like you felt you were important. Technology will continue to evolve. There is in an age of FaceTiming, in an age of just cellular demand, whether it's chat or whether it's SMS, people want immediate answers. They want them quick. Getting to the point of a meaningful, face-to-face conversation takes a little bit more than what it used to. Before, people just had to walk into a dealership. They had no choice. It was a phone or a walk-in, and that was it. And today they can use SMS, they can use chat, they can use a number of different tools. There's a very cool tool called Drop-in Auto that it's interesting. It's not a two-way communication in the sense that it is a FaceTime. It's actually really a two-way communication that's only one way, meaning that the dealer themselves can't see you. You can only see what they're doing. So whether it's tread depth, to your point earlier, whether it's a walk around. So there are continually very, very cool technologies that are out there, from social media to one and two-way communications. that dealerships need to tap into. The days of just having a BDC and a call center and letting your salespeople handle the chats. Your salespeople aren't trained to handle chats. They know the product. They just don't know the art and science of communication. They're good with someone's in front of them. They're not necessarily good at getting them from the chat into a lead or into an appointment. And I think that's one of the fun things for me is now learning more about that and the use of Facebook Messenger and Marketplace and a lot of the other platforms that are out there, and being able to bring these tools to not only the dealer, but to the tier 2, to the tier 1, and even to the national players is an extremely exciting and fun thing. So I'm really, really excited to be here.
Congratulations. And I think the industry's better for having you on this side of it, that side of it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Jeff. And I always remember Todd years ago as chat was still coming of age. And I remember him telling me, he said, Ryan, he says, we're not a chat company. He says, we're a data company. And you know, that was the genius of Todd, recognizing that it's about, you know, capturing data and acting on that. And I'm particularly intrigued with the non-automotive aspect of ActivEngage. So I plan on, you know, definitely want to check in with you, you know, 6 months from now and pick your brain and really see where you're helping to take the company. Because
a real quick fun story about Todd Smith. Bring it
on.
No, the origin of ActivEngage. A friend of mine, a lot of people in the industry know Stan Thomas.
Stan the man.
Great entrepreneurial mind.
Stan in certain circles.
And that very deep voice of his that I'm really jealous of. And he's told the story. I've heard it more than once. It's consistent that he was having a beer drink with Todd late one night, and Todd literally wrote on a napkin years ago, okay, so somebody clicks through and somebody can chat with them and then send a lead to the dealership. And then Stan says, you know, the dumbest thing I ever said was no. Well, who the heck would want to do that? And meanwhile, it's become, you know, a multi-million-dollar corner of the automotive marketing industry. So
he was certainly a visionary. And, you know, when he partnered up with Ted Rubin, obviously, of Dealer Ups, and, you know, you put two great minds like that together. And building a company from the ground up, as you guys well know, is not an easy task. But they've done it with integrity. They've done it with technology. They are the largest provider in the space today. And it's really exciting to be honored to gain this position and be asked to come aboard and bring years of experience with it.
So looking forward to seeing you at the conferences coming up.
Absolutely.
And, you know, before we get into the timeline here, we did want to touch on Auto Trader going through a big transformation. Ryan, did you want to hit on that before we jump into the conference schedule?
You know what? Let's pass on that just to honor our commitment for time. We could do a different segue on that. So again, Jeff, congratulations and thanks for coming to share that with us. Folks, just to wind things down, we got Internet Battle Plan, Jim Ziegler's Battle Plan coming up next week. Tom, I know you're going to be there. Jeff, I don't know if we didn't. Are you involved with that at all?
I wasn't able to make that. I have another commitment, but Jim Ziegler's a friend, and certainly anyone who has a chance to sit in one of his conferences, if you haven't, you should go. He's got a lineup of really great speakers and good people, so I encourage it. But unfortunately, I have a prior commitment that will keep me from being on site.
So I will be there. Looking forward to hearing and seeing a lot of the information that's going to be shared there. That's actually here at Clearwater Beach. So it's a dreadful location for a conference in January with 72 degrees and sunny outside right now. So yeah, stay up there in the snow, guys. And if any dealer staff still want to try to break away from their store Monday and Tuesday, I've got a pass or two. I might be able to get you in the door without having to buy a ticket.
Do you have a speaking slot there or no?
I do not. Dealer Teamwork is represented on the stage. I have the privilege of working with a company with like 10 people that are very visible and high quality presenters. So I will not, but I will be in attendance and look forward to seeing everybody coming to town.
Cool. I just did an interview yesterday with Tim James, who's right here, and making him a little video that he's going to pass around his speaking slot. And it's funny, Jeff, you brought up Drop-In Auto and they're live.
You're wearing clothes in the video, right?
Live video. No, I'm not.
Awesome.
We're only filming him from the neck up, so that's
fine. Anyhow, so something to look forward to. But Flick Fusion now offers a live video stream functionality on dealer websites. So it's something we'll be exploring with them. So hope the show goes well. I'm sure it will. It's a great lineup. And Tom, maybe you can get some interviews in while you're down there.
I'm going to work on that for us.
And you got my buddy Frank Lopes, who
Frankie.
People don't know who Frank is. Frank's a legend in this industry, and
Frank's going to be the MC for Digital Dealer.
Book.
Frank's going to be the MC for Digital Dealer. So
look at
Frank
that.
is a high quality guy.
What does the MC do?
Frank? So
what does the MC do? Like
all the announcements on stage.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He makes everybody look good.
Well, hey,
tells everybody to get to class.
Just to wind things down, I want to acknowledge everyone on Facebook Live. Thanks for being here for our first inaugural auto conversion on air. I see Amanda and Aaron Ryan. You guys are so loyal and
Robert Crowley
hitting everybody's shows. And Mike Correa jumped up here, and I saw Steve Stawning and Ben Adler. Who did you mention, Tom?
Rob Crowley, local guy to me.
Okay, cool.
So thanks for following us over here, guys.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And that kind of leads to some announcements. I'm going to be sending out an email soon. I put a nice post together on Blog Pro, just kind of doing a year in review. I typically do this most years and put a review together just to get some perspective on, me personally, what I've been involved with. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but I run a blog called autoconverse.com. And for the past almost 2 years, been really focused on the future of mobility and blogging about technologies and the industries and the innovations around, not just around automotive, but how we get around as people in the world. So we talk about aerospace and mass transit. And really, this kind of segues into some announcements I wanted to make today. So look for this post. But as you know, Tom and I were heavily involved with Dealer Refresh over the last year. Just to give everyone a recap, we launched the Refresh Friday program, a weekly broadcast. We launched the Dealer Refresh podcast. Shouts out to Chris Leslie for his help on that as well. And we launched the Dealer Refresh Roundtable. And a lot of great stuff, a lot of great programs and great stuff going on. So we are now, I'm now moving away from Dealer Refresh. Auto Conversion is moving away from that. And mainly because we want to take more of what I call a macro focus on not just the auto industry, but what I would call the mobility industry. As I've said, GM calls itself a mobility company. Tesla is a tech company, not a car company. And so I think there's a lot of evolution in there, and there's the macro and the micro level. So
you're not going to start driving for Uber, are you?
No, not Uber.
I don't think I've ever seen an Uber driver driving a Tesla. Not to say it doesn't happen.
I don't think they would let me drive, knowing that.
They wouldn't let me drive for long.
No, they wouldn't. No. So I'm happy to announce for AutoConverse, I am finally rolling out a project that I've been working towards and finally getting it launched. It's the Future of Mobility podcast through AutoConverse. And so folks, if you're into podcasting, which I highly recommend, shows like this one we're doing here, I do interviews, I go to live events, all sorts of stuff. And what I'll be doing is putting a lot of emphasis towards building that around the podcast. And the beauty is you can subscribe to a podcast on your phone and get this information packaged up for you. So
the great content that you've enjoyed from Ryan and his team and myself is going to be on the auto conversion platform. So keep your eyes out. We've got some really, really exciting things planned for the next couple of months and the rest of the year. So we appreciate everybody being here. We will be your primary and best source for, like Ryan said, everything to do with mobility and how it impacts us at our level.
And that's why, Jeff, I appreciate you being here, because a company like ActivEngage, has technology and relationships at that micro tier 3 level, but also as a tech company and a data company, more at that macro level and beyond. So that's why it's so relevant to this program specifically.
Very much so. And I encourage, your listeners, any of your dealers or organizations, look, Orlando, Florida is never a bad place to be. And we encourage you in the audience, come by. see what it takes to communicate. We are one of the only companies that has a completely US based chat operation. Our employees aren't outsourced, they're ours. And they go through months and months of training, and we're constantly reinvesting in the training that we do. So helping people understand the science of a conversation and getting a conversation started. Some people are naturals at it, some aren't. And that's why I think the SMS and the actual chat tool itself is so critically important to dealers. It reminds me of the day when eBay first hit the market, and I'll close on this note. If you remember when eBay first started rolling out and you took a test sample of how dealers felt about eBay, resoundingly everyone said it would never work. That's just not going to work. No one will do that. And then look what happened with eBay. The dealers out there that say, well, I don't need that, or, I don't need chat. And, actually you do. And it's not whether or not you feel you need it. It's what the consumer needs. You're not buying the car, they are. And if you can give people a tool and a communication and a comfort zone, whether it's social media, whether it's chat, whether it's SMS, or whether it's good old fashioned picking up the phone or coming in and arm wrestling the deal right in the showroom floor, you got to give people these opportunities. So I would argue that not only are we a data company, we're a tech company. We're just using chat and SMS as an avenue to continue to take the data and bring it forward. We've recently forged some really great partnerships to dig deeper into the analytics and the data to help people understand what they're getting. You hear a lot about attribution and broken attribution. Look, at the end of the day, there's going to be crossover. You just can't get away from it. But it's understanding what the ROI is truly on the cost per lead. And that's what's exciting about this. So I'm very appreciative to both you and Tom for asking me to be on your inaugural show.
Yeah,
I feel honored to be a part of it. And certainly I encourage anyone who has questions for me. I'm very simply Jeff at ActivEngage.com, or you can go to the ActivEngage website and get additional information. But, thanks again for having me. And certainly, much thanks to your audience for sitting in.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate you coming on the show. Welcome to our first show. Thanks everybody who's listened. Ryan, any final words?
No, that's it. Come back next week, same time, same place. Got Aaron Crane from Drive Motors, can talk about how to take advantage of President's Day weekend through e-commerce, and of course a wrap up of great stuff going on during the week. And Tom, thank you again for helping out the way you do. Love it.
Appreciate you, brother. See you next week.
All right.
Be well,
Take care,
guys.
everyone.
See you.
Jeff, be safe. Stay warm.
Thanks. Bye-bye.